Welcome back, Lelanders, to a special edition of why the God of War chose the location for Mexico City. Now, this has actually been kind of a puzzle that I've been working on since I was about 10 years old. So it's, well, how old am I now? 42, so that's what? Fuck, man, 32 years. So yeah, 32 years it took. Hey, 32nd degree. Anyways, 32 years it took to discover why Mexico City was chosen, the location. So if anyone hasn't heard, there's a legend. Yeah, and for tonight's episode, before we get too into it, we're gonna take callers if anyone wants to call in, but I should probably just focus on presenting this information. But if someone wants to call in, it's no big deal. We got the Discord open. So what else is there? Oh yeah, tonight we'll be discussing the location for Mexico, how it relates to Stonehenge, the September 11th attacks, the creation of the universe, and the location that the fallen angels came to the earth, and Jesus, and some other prophets, even one from Bulgaria, who is it, Ivan guy. So yeah, we'll be discussing a whole crap load of stuff from all over the world, even a little bit of information from Turkey, and what was another one? Oh yeah, parts of Ireland as well. So yeah. Now, and today we'll be looking over a few different slides to discuss the information about it, and yeah, it's just allegedly. It's just a theory I'm working on here. Can't say for sure that I know. But I've been working on a lot of different theories for this for over the years. And I think this is probably by far the best one that I've had yet. So who knows, maybe in the future we'll completely outdo this one, but for the time being, let's give a quick summary how I began this legend. Researching it was I got this coin. I actually got it right here. One of my friends, Mark Reynolds, helped me find it in storage. And it's, yeah, this coin right here, you can see the picture of it. And on either side, one side it's got the Mexico coat of arms, and the other side it's got the guy, what is that, that one leader? I think, who is it, Montezuma, I'm pretty sure. But anyways, if anyone knows the guy on the other side of the coin, it's a 1964 Mexican peso. So how I got this coin is when I was about 10 years old, I was getting into trouble as a kid and hanging outside, playing late at night when I shouldn't have. Like, you know, kids supposed to go to bed when it gets dark. Well, I was out like well after midnight, after all the adults were in bed, and me and my friends were outside playing. We snuck out of the house after midnight. So anyways, we were outside and we encountered these guys. If anyone's heard of them, Albert Pike writes a lot about them. The Amesha Spenta, they're in the Vedic text, Hindu stuff. What is it? Not only Hindu, but the Avesta. That's it. The Bible or holy book of the Zoroastrians. So, anyways, these light beings came and when seen us when we were kids outside when we weren't supposed to, and they gave us this coin. So this was a really weird coin to get in Canada, not to mention from fucking light beings. But anyways, so yeah, getting this coin was very strange, and I always thought I'd try to figure out why they gave us the coin, and it's been one of my goals for my whole life, trying to figure out what the hell these guys were, and why they gave us this coin. So to be honest, I never really thought I would find out anything to do with it, and then year by year by year, I would get one little clue, after one little clue, after another little clue, and the older and older I get, it just seems like I keep getting more and more clues. So today's episode will be a summary of the latest clues about solving what the hell this coin means. So if anyone hasn't heard the legend associated with this coin, it actually took me almost 10 years to find out this legend even existed. I just thought it was a neat looking coin. So anyways, so this symbol on the coin happens to be a legend about the founding of Mexico City and why the God of War chose a specific location for it to be built. Which that should be a little bit of a clue right off the bat. The God of War chose it. So is that really going to be a great location? But anyways, let's not mock Mexico's location quite yet, till we get some more information about why. Alright, so according to legend, there is a legend where it says, the god of war told the people to settle where they saw an eagle perched on a cactus holding a snake in its beak. So I thought that was kind of interesting, the symbology behind it. And then as I got older, I started to study more and more world cultures, and I found more and more how about they're all basically the same when it comes to like the pagan sacred tree, how it connects to the stars, how it involves sacrifice rituals. Right here, I should have realized right off the bat, sacrifice ritual shit was going to be in here. No, and then we get more into the stars that it's associated with. If anyone doesn't know what the winged disc guy is now, everyone has their own theory about what it is. But my latest theory that I've been going on, it's pretty well established in some circles, pardon the pun. But inside this circle is the Orion Man. So the Orion Man, if anyone hasn't heard, it's like a star system in the skies. What is it, Sirius, all that jazz. And it's got the legend about how his arms reach across, and it's the entire story of creation, or the A to Z legend of humanity, or the story of the whole universe. How you travel through stages across his arms. Oh yeah, and the reason he's in a ring with wings is because it spins in the sky in a circle. So that's symbolizing the circle and the spinning and the wings. Oh yeah, and if anyone's wondering where the horns comes from devils, this whole legend about this spinning guy in the sky happens to have like horned creatures because of Taurus. Taurus is the constellation of the ox creature, or Alpha, that needs to be sacrificed as part of the ritual, or it used to be until Jesus did his jazz. But anyways, so next we'll be covering in the show too about how the ley line maps point to where Mexico is, and why this Mexico ley line is in such a special location and what it symbolizes. And hence, not to give too much away, but we'll be talking more about the sacrifice stuff, hence the sacrifice ley line. Alright, so yeah, this is kind of a freaky episode for me to talk about, hence I poured a few beers. Well, not a few, we only have one so far. But I got a few beers in a cooler ready, got a little bit of weed ready to go. We got 2 messages in the Discord. Hey, Plutonium, he said he might tune in to watch. That's cool, thanks man. Hey, someone even gave a like, appreciate it. Oh yeah, and happy Family Day to everyone in Canada. Figured this is a real nice family topic, right? Now, there is some good news and bad news to this story to prepare everyone. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of gross stuff that borderline, we'll have to try to keep it clean for YouTube, but yeah, there's also some good news to it, so it's not an all bad news story. So yeah, let's get into it. Why did the God of War choose the ley line of sacrifice for Mexico City? Alright, so what should we get to next? I'm trying to decide where to go from here. So many options. Alright, what I'll do is I'll get my folder ready with slides, and we'll think which is the best one to look at. We covered all those. Alright, let's go with, excuse me, how did I get into ley line research? Let's get into that just a little. And the 2 different maps. If anyone's wondering, I work with 2 different ley line maps. One is technically a gravity well map, and then the other one is a ley line map that the ancients used. So anyways, if you want to look here what this image is, this purple line that goes across North America on the left side and down to here, that's this line connecting Cambodia to Guatemala, and very similar pyramid structures. If anyone wants to check out some really cool work, who is it? Stein, I forget his first name. God, I haven't had him on the show in ages. But if anyone wants to go into my show archive in the Magia show, there's a guy named Stein that researches this. Or I could be saying his name wrong. It's been years since I had him on, but no, he's very good about pinpointing the connections between the different cultures. So anyways, I don't think he's into the ley line much, but he does the actual historical research connections. But anyways, so this pink line is that line. And this line here that goes across from South America in that direction, this is one that goes from Easter Island to the Great Pyramid of Egypt to Angkor Wat and a bunch of other ones, and it makes that line. And then this line here on the east coast of Canada and North America is one that I researched a lot because it has sites near me, because I live in this region. So I plotted those three. So I had those three pink lines on. And then I took a modern gravity well map that I've been working on and used just the blue layer and laid the two maps over each other to see if there was any correlations. And from what you can see here, obviously the pinpoint of the orb locations isn't identical, but damn, is that ever like a fine pattern enough that it made me think there is a relation between these two maps. Hey, Rusty Valor, thanks for dropping in for a like. Now, this episode's a bit freaky, so if anyone has to go to bed soon, I don't recommend watching it. You might have nightmares. It gets pretty intense. Like, I never really thought I'd figure out, like, the locations of, like, some of the cities that gods wanted so that they could create, like, incredible fucking miracles to occur. It's fucked up, man. But anyways, so let's continue how this goes. So yeah, what we'll be doing today's episode is we'll be looking at the two different map types, and not the blue layer, but other layers of the same map. And well, I guess we might look at the blue layer a little. But then we'll be checking out these lines and the line of sacrifice. Yeah, so this line of sacrifice is pretty freaky. If anyone doesn't know, we actually just got through the year of sacrifice. We should give a little bit of summary of that. So what happened was, if anyone wants to jump into my archive and check it out, is Miss USA died at the age of 30, and she was, oddly enough, located in the same spot of like the Orion sacrifice ritual, dying on the Orion Tower in New York. Oh yeah, and this also connects to Mike Tyson in New York and his God of War story, if anyone hasn't heard of it. So anyways, it turns out last year was, in the Chinese calendar, was the year of the metal ox, which required a sacrifice. If anyone hasn't heard about sacrifice stuff, usually they throw in the hottest chick into a volcano or something. So, not to say that anyone killed her, but the way the universe played out, she ended up dying in a very sacrifice type way. If anyone wants to go back into the archive, check it out. Actually, one of the most weirdest parts is her name is actually Christ. And the way she wrote her last message before she died, she said she died as part of a sacrifice. So that was really fucked up. Well, in what do you call it, to paraphrase it. But anyways, so yeah, if anyone wants to jump into the archive of that, that's some of the stuff that has occurred on this sacrifice line. Should we look at the line itself? Yeah, let's do that. I think we've seen enough slides so we can actually jump right into it. Now, OBS just had an update, and I just fucking worked on my microphone again. I didn't realize that my computer actually turns the microphone volume down on its own. So I don't know how it's turning it down. It's probably a key that I'm bumping by accident. So I was able to find the settings again and turn it back up to a normal level. Fuck, man, that really pisses me off how many episodes I end up recording with a quiet mic. But anyways, so let's get on. So this sacrifice line is the one that, sadly, that woman died in a sacrifice ritual last year. Or technically this year, depending on which calendar you use. And we'll get more into the origins about how far the line goes this way, like into Greece and Turkey and all that jazz. But we won't do that till the very end. Well, yeah, we'll get to it soon. Right now, what we'll do is we'll cover where the line's original or origin point is. And it's a circle, so really a circle has no beginning and end. It's an arbitrary location where you pick for a beginning. But for today's episode, I figure let's make the location to begin Stonehenge. So if anyone thinks this has got to be the weirdest thing ever, to take a line and draw it from Stonehenge to anywhere arbitrarily, like just picking random spots on the globe and drawing a line, how does it have any actual correlation to anything? So what we're going to try to do is show the correlation here. Hey, Loveface, Naked HD, Stonerhenge, Wicked News, welcome back to the chat. No, thanks for tuning in, everyone. I just got, hey, there's Bournemouth. But anyways, yeah, that's funny. No, there's a place I know near my city with the name Bournemouth. But anyways, so here's the line at Stonehenge. And we'll get through where it goes through in detail in a minute. We'll come back to it. We're going to go over the details of Ireland and this. But where it's drawing all this way down to is Mexico. And if anyone wants to know where in Mexico, let's go down and see if it's actually still in the right spot. I moved it to the right spot, but it seems like every time I come back, something's changed. Oh yeah, something's fucking changed again. You gotta be kidding me. Now what it's supposed to be going to is there's an obelisk. Where is it? We'll type it in. Obelisk. Mexico. That could be it. No, that's not it. Fucking hell, man. I should have really checked this before I started the show, but I just assumed it was going to be on the right spot. I'll have to look up how to spell obelisk. Oh, there it is. I always forget the E. I think it's very close. Maybe I just moved the line by accident and that's why it's not lining up right now. There we go. Let's see how far the line was off. Fuck, it didn't show the obelisk. I knew it wasn't going to. Alright, we'll just have to look on the ground. If anyone sees the obelisk, I know it's near here. How it got moved. Why it's not showing up when I type it. If I had to guess, this thing is it. Doesn't that kind of look like an obelisk? But you would see like a giant shadow. Fuck, man, where is it? I can't believe that. Oh, I know how we might be able to find it. Let's hope. Nope. We're already using that one. Alright, I know how to find it. We'll go obelisk in Mexico in Google. Bet you that'll bring it up. It doesn't come up under that, but I'll try War Memorial. Because it is a War Memorial obelisk, so... That's New Mexico. Oh man, so annoying. Now it's not even coming up in the searches. I'll have to go back into the fucking archive. But anyways, the obelisk is somewhere in this green spot. I don't know why it's not showing up right now. It's kind of annoying, but I'm sure once I go into the archive, it'll be no problem. We'll get it back. But anyways, it's supposed to be connecting to the obelisk, and I'm sure it's not off by much, a couple feet. God, I still can't believe it's not connecting to it, man. That really pisses me off. But anyways, so if you look at the line where it goes through, once it's supposed to be connecting to that fucking obelisk and to Stonehenge, what it covers, let's start in Boston. If anyone's seen the episode, we had, man, my memory's going to be horrible for everything today. Art Olivier. So yeah, if you want to check out in the archive, he talked about this line. That's how I found out about it. Well, ironically, I drew the line already, or a version of it, but didn't notice that it was on the September 11th attacks, and then he pointed it out. So anyways, you take the runway And you look, that's the one from the Boston airport from the attacks of September 11th. And then you scroll down to New York. And let's zoom in all the way. I did check these other parts. I just didn't check the Mexico Monument because I thought for some reason, since I had already started and drew the line from there, why it would have moved. But anyways, so yeah, here's where the old trade centers were. So the line goes from Boston Airport, where we go from Stonehenge to the Boston Airport to the September 11th shit, the old trade center sites. And where's Washington? Let me just type it in. I can't find shit today, right? It's on the line. I can't even find it. Pentagon building. There we go. So I don't have to fucking look like an idiot. Can't find it. There it is. Did it actually go right over? Yes, it did. So there we go. The Pentagon. So isn't that weird? That you got all the attack sites of September 11th lining up on the line of ancient sacrifice. So some people argue that obviously it's not all the September 11th attack sites, it's just some of them. But I think that is quite a few of them, like what, Boston, Trade Centers, Pentagon, all in one line. So then I started to realize, after we had the guest on the show, that this line is like a lot of different sacrifices are occurring on it. Not just the September 11th attacks. Not to say that it was a sacrifice, but the flooding that occurred in Mobile, Alabama, when those levees weren't repaired. So when the hurricane came in, basically all those people are sacrificed, or it was just by accident. But either way, a lot of those people all died in there. That was bad. Atlanta, you can start to see a lot of the different big cities are going to be on this line. Charlotte's. Oh yeah, and then when I was looking at it, I started to realize that there is a warrior type aspect of energy that occurs on this sacrifice line. Not only for like prophets that do energy healing, sort of like Jesus or that Ivan saint from Bulgaria, but also warriors. So if you look at the Cherokee, natives that used to be in the US, or I guess still are, but the Cherokee had like a good reputation of being like incredible warriors and stuff. So this like reputation of intense warriors is known all along this energy line. And I never realized it before, but Mike Tyson actually brought it up on his podcast. So if you go down into New York, not only do you have the Orion building, let's show you. Now keep in mind this Orion condo, New York. This energy line is about 100 miles or 100 kilometers wide. So anything within a few miles of it is obviously still going to be within the energy field. So that's why you had the Orion condominium, where that sadly, who knows if it was organized. Hopefully it was just a suicide. Well, not hopefully, but the official report is that it was a suicide. But the Orion ritual that we talked about for sacrifice and how she died on the year of sacrifice, sadly. But anyways, yeah, we also have what Mike Tyson said, which if anyone's heard where he's from, let's go Brownsville, New York. Look where Brownsville is. Did it go to it? Yeah, so here's Brownsville. So it's not as close to the line as the other one, but still, it's easily within the 100 miles, right? Or kilometers, whatever. So what Mike Tyson was saying, he was trying to figure out too, is when he became heavyweight champion of the world, he realized that it wasn't just him that did it, like became a champion, but other weight classes had their own fighters that also became champions. And he knew them all. And he's like, well, how did you know them? He's like, because we all grew up on the same neighborhood. He's like, it's Brownsville. He's like, for some reason, like all the best champions in the world at one point were all from the same street or neighborhood. And he's like, he was trying to figure it out, because he's like, you could say, oh, it's maybe the gang influence and they were always like fighting and stuff, but He's like, no, it wasn't even just that, because he's like, if you look at the history of Brownsville, even when it was a Jewish neighborhood, he's like, even back then, there were some of the roughest, like toughest people in the entire country were still from that Brownsville place. So he's like, it was almost like some sort of energy was there that was like causing this fucking warrior spirit to be within the people born in this area. And like, I don't know, I didn't even realize it, that Mike Tyson was saying that he got the God of War in him. So I was like, maybe it occurred when he was in Brownsville because of this sacrifice line. And we'll get into more of the God of War stuff. Whew, it's pretty intense. Yeah, I didn't even realize the Statue of Liberty also on that energy line. Yeah, so we'll get down onto a little bit more. So when we get down into the Mexico part of it, we start getting into the reason the God of War was telling the people where to build Mexico City. So here we have this God of War energy line where sacrifices are taking place. I should look, is one of the volcanoes in Mars named after the God of War? I should check that. It sounds kind of familiar. Mars volcano, God of War. Yeah. It says the red planet Mars, named for the Roman God of War, has been like an omen. Oh, Mars is the God of War. Mars is named after the Roman God of War. Many believe that the ancient peoples associated Mars with the bloodshed because of its red color. I guess I could even see it. The Babylonians called it the one of destruction. So anyways, so I started to realize that, hey, it's not just Mike Tyson that's talking about this God of War stuff on this energy line. It's also the people of Mexico. So I was like, holy shit, man, like, where else does this line go through that we haven't noticed yet, right? Like, so far in the other episodes of the show, we've only covered it from Mexico to Stonehenge. So today's episode, we're going to get into the nitty gritty and start going, where the fuck else does this line go, right? And what's happened there? And man, was my mind ever fucking blown. I've only actually scratched the surface of it briefly because I just looked at it and I was like, holy fuck. So I was like, let's do it as a live episode with some viewers rather than get into all the details before I've even researched it. So today will be a little bit of a live research of what else has the God of War done on this line of sacrifice. It's going to blow your... Well, it has to do with the fallen angels coming to Earth and shit and the location of that, if anyone's heard of it. So we'll get into it. It's actually so intense. I can't even... It's mind-blowing. I'm like almost at the point where it has to be false, because if all this turned out to be true, it'd be like, what the fuck? Alright, so anyways, what should we cover next? Let's go and show my map and the difference between the ancient map and the new map. And I'll show you the progress I've made on redrawing the ancient map. God, am I doing a shitty job. So if anyone's good at drawing old maps or Google, let me know. Get in touch with me. I can't promise I can pay you a lot, but I'm going to try to hire someone to help draw this map better than I can. So anyways, this is the actual gravity well version that I can use regular map measurements to make. So that's why it's much more symmetrical. And you can see that the sacrifice line doesn't overlap it completely. But I'll show you why I think it's the same line. We'll bring it up. I have the ancient version that I can just put up and draw right around the globe. And it's in orange. So you can see this yellow line and the orange line are actually overlapping in some spots. And this sort of wavy pattern of where the line connects and overlaps and where it doesn't, that's the same pattern between the old map and the new map on almost all the lines. There's always like spots that overlaps and spots it doesn't. Now some people have told me it's because of the shape of the Earth, that the gravity well map is drawn as a perfect sphere. So because it's a perfect sphere and the planet really isn't, there's going to be spots where it waves and detours because it's not perfect. So that could be it as well. But anyways, so we'll look at these two lines. We've got the sacrifice line of September 11th, Stonehenge, Mexico, God of War, biblical type energy. And we got the regular line. And now we'll bring up the Mars connection. Because we've already talked about it, the God of War, Mars. How does this connect? The Orion sacrifice ritual legend. Let's bring it up. Here it is, Mars topography. Olympus. I wonder if that's one of the ones with sacrifice or the God of War too. Could be wrong. I'm hoping it's one of these ones. But anyways, you can see that the sacrifice line basically runs through the 3 volcanoes, the biggest ones on Mars. So that's where it comes into the connection where you throw the models into the volcanoes, or the beautiful women from the village back in the old days when they were doing the sacrifice rituals. So that's where you're getting this connection. Even on Mars, it shows. The volcanoes connect with this fucking line. Now, volcanoes on Earth, they also connect on these type of sacrifice lines to a lesser degree. It's just more evident on Mars because they have these fucking giant 3 ones. And it's ironic too that these 3 volcanoes that make up this pattern on Mars happen to be the same pattern as the Orion ritual they're named after. Like the sacrifice thing. So isn't that fucked up? It's like the sacrifice ritual is like on the surface of Mars as 3 belt stars imitated by 3 volcanoes. Even slightly offset. Just like the fucking belt stars. Alright, so I guess we should bring up a slide because we've talked about it so much already. Alright, so we got a viewer question. Where does the sacrifice line cross the Mississippi? We'll get to that in 1 second. Remind me again if I forget. But we're gonna, or when I forget, I should say. Well, we're just gonna bring up the slide. Which one was I gonna show again? Oh yeah, the Orion shit. Just in case anyone hasn't heard the Orion shit before is watching my work for the first time, we'll just briefly cover it. Alright, so which one shows it best? Let's go with... This is what we were talking about in the previous part of the show, about the Chinese year of the metal ox, and that was the sacrifice ritual. So here's shout out to the First Nations culture that drew it pretty much one of the best, ironically. When we talk about oral records as not being better, it turned out to be when it came to these. But anyway, so yeah, you got the Taurus, the 7 sisters of heaven, the 3 belt stars of Orion, the shoulder stars Betelgeuse, the one that's supposed to go supernova after the sacrifice ritual. But for some reason it never did yet, so everyone's trying to figure out what's taken Betelgeuse so long. All the occultists have done rituals to try to make it go supernova. Oh yeah, and then it reaches to the dog star, the Canis Minor, and it's also known as Anubis in Egyptian culture, and the dog god of the death, the black dog god of death, Xotl in Aztec culture, or the ones that built the Aztec city, the one on the sacrifice line. So you can start to see all these different dog stars and Anubis and the death part of the ritual in the sky, how it created Anubis legends, and why Anubis legends are found all over the world. For some reason, not only does every culture have some sort of weird legends about the Orion stars, but they're all about the journey from like heaven to death. So it's not only that they have the same stars they talk about, but they all have the same legend about them. So there's slight variations to the legend. But even like you go to the First Nations people of like, what is it, New Zealand or Australia, they talk about the 7 sisters as well, the heaven part of the legend. The inside the Taurus, the bull for the sacrifice, the Orion ritual. Alright, so I think we covered the Orion ritual and the sacrifice. I think it's big in Freemasonry as well, because in Freemasonry, I think they're the guys that were working on this slide. I think it's William Occult or something, or Occott, if anyone wants to see his work on it. who is it, William or something, Wayne Herschel. He writes a lot about the Omega portion of it. So if anyone wants to see some more, recommend his work. I haven't seen all of his work yet, so I shouldn't really be recommending it, but from what I've heard, it's some of the best. Right, so if anyone's wondering if they want to find more evidence for the ALF part, or the ALF or the ox sacrifice, it's part of like the language of almost every culture around the world. So that's why it's so strange that even our language is giving us the clues to this ritual that talks about the creation of the fucking universe and how to become immortal and all that shit. It's part of our goddamn language. But anyways, so let's bring off Mars and let's get to the viewer's question before I forget. Well, I did forget the question, but I remember. Oh yeah, the Mississippi River part of it. Yeah, who is it? What's that guy's name? The Sleeping Prophet, Edgar Casey. He's the one who talked about the Mississippi being involved in some sort of cataclysms, but I don't buy too much into that. Yeah, isn't it neat how it goes right through New Orleans, right through Memphis, Atlanta, Albuquerque, almost San Antonio. Alright, so let's go to the Mississippi part of it. Yeah, so if you want to look at where the sacrifice line is, it's usually always at the mouth of the most major river in the area. So you can see wherever the Mississippi comes in and makes a mouth point to the ocean, that's where you'll find the sacrifice line. And we'll see that theme repeating a few times. So I don't know which part of this is the mouth of the Mississippi. Is this it? So it would cross here then. Yeah, they almost made it line up with the canal. I bet you if I had to guess, my line's off a little bit. It's supposed to line up with the canal. The YMCA, was there some sort of horrible scandal that occurred there? I do not know. Doesn't sound good. Those damn Christians. I always well, I shouldn't say I make fun of it, but I'm like, man, we got to give some of the Christians a break here. It's like we didn't blame all the Muslims for 9/11. Why the hell are we blaming all the Christians for something bad happening in a couple churches? Well, I'm sure it's more than a couple, but either way. Anyways, let's get back to the lines. All right, so we went over that. We covered that. So next thing I think we'll do is we'll just give an update on how the old school map is going and some of the connections to the sacrifice obelisks. And I'll explain some of the problems that I've started to have already remaking this line. Let's show it up. Is this ancient line pattern or gravity well field what I've drawn so far? I don't have the regular maps to use as dividers, like marking spots where I can say, hey, this is where the line's supposed to begin and end, like I do on a regular map. Because a regular map gives you the equinox and the solstice points identically as they are today. So it's easier to do. So anyways, this is the ancient version. And the prime meridian that goes straight up and down the planet, for some reason on the ancient one, it's slightly tilted to the side. So instead of the northern pole being straight up like on a regular map, it's tilted to the side. So I was like, that's kind of weird, right? Like, when was the prime meridian ever tilted to the side like that? But anyways, that's one of the things that I've realized. And when it comes time to drawing all these side lines, I've got them so wobbled and the spacing between them so off that I really need to work on all that. But the only lines that I have really finished are the orange line here. This is the one that connects Easter Island. Let's give the tour line of it. It's kind of fun when I do it like this, I realized. You go Easter Island, Chile, boom. It'll go right to it on the line. And you can see that, oh yeah, here it is. I was going to the wrong spot. Alright, so there's Easter Island, where the Moai statues are. This is another line. Well, we'll get to that one later. Or maybe another episode. So let's go to the Great Pyramid. Pyramid of Giza, India? No. Alright, so it'll take us right there on the line. Ba-dum-bum. So there we go, the Great Pyramid of Giza. I don't even know all the spots it goes to, so I'll just go to the ones that I can remember. And if anyone wants to know where did I find out this line, it's actually in a DVD that I have on my shelf. I should have got it ready here. It's called The Revelations of the Pyramids. So if you want to check it out, they got the full version on YouTube, but I tried to buy the DVD new, but I can only find used copies. Alright, so we covered that line, and oh yeah, Angkor Wat. So I'm gonna have to watch the video on this line some more to get some more clues on how to finish the map without having it so wobbly. Alright, so there we go. We got to the Angkor Wat complex, and as you can see, this complex is pretty significant, eh? It's got more to it than just Angkor Wat. It's fucking massive. But anyways. And then, yeah, back to Easter Island. So that line is one of the lines that we have more precisely finished. And people are wondering, is it a perfectly straight line? No. It has actually a bit of wobbles to it as well. And then I found out what's the deal with the wobbles. They're saying it's because it's the 100-mile width. So when you're lining it perfectly on each site, some of those sites might be on like the edge of the line. So I shouldn't be moving the line all the way to it. So that's why it starts getting a wobble to it. But in relative speaking, it's almost perfectly straight. Oh, there's a bad wobble, eh? Yeah, the Easter Island portion. I bet you any money, like, it's probably not supposed to line directly on Easter Island. Maybe a little bit over from it, and then that would make it straight. But for interest sake for the video, they put it on, like, identically, and that's how straight it comes out. And then it could be the whole pear-shaped thing, too, where the Earth isn't really a globe, like, fully circle, sphere. So that's why this line has, like, that little wobble to it. That's the pear-shape correlation. So anyways, let's go take a quick look at some of the cities and obelisks that this lines go through. If anyone's thinking, God damn, what the hell are you coming up with these measuring points with? So we got the CN Tower. That's that giant tower in Toronto, if anyone's been. Can't miss it. So we got that. So that's the one that measures that point or line. The next one is the main one in Ottawa, where the police are shooting the protesters. Yeah, I seen that. They shot a member of the media today. She's going to be suing the police department. Peaceful freedom convoy has the police attacking them, but allegedly, we haven't seen the court cases settled yet, so maybe that's not what happened. But anyways, the Peace Tower in Ottawa, a giant obelisk tower that they put on the line. Or it's just there by coincidence. And we'll just do a couple more obelisks. We don't want to do each obelisk because, man, there's so many. But, what's the one? Oh, yeah, not Philly, Washington. So everyone's heard of this obelisk a million times before, I'm sure. This one's the obelisk in Washington. So people have heard of that one. Oh yeah, the one I was thinking was an obelisk, but then I'm like, wait a minute, it's not really an obelisk. Let's go to this one. For some reason, they made a store for fishing in Memphis. And look what they made the Memphis store for fishing. Fucking giant pyramid on the fucking line. So I thought that was kind of interesting that even to this day, there's still buildings like ancient obelisks and pyramids that are getting built on these lines. Could just be coincidence. But you can see the river runs with it as well. So it could be the argument they're just building them on the rivers. And because the lines line up with the rivers, and you're going to get them lining up on it. Kansas, Dallas, Houston. I didn't even know that. It's like some of the cities that line up all on the same lines. It's so weird. For anyone who's out on the West Coast, we got Edmonton action, Cold Lake, Regina, Calgary, almost Lethbridge. No, so some people always think that there is some sort of hidden plan, Thunder Bay, about how all these cities and everything are always being built to connect on stuff, or it's just happening by accident. Just a coincidence. But anyway, so we covered just a little bit of the groundwork of some of the... Hey, Wicked News was saying he was born in Smithers, BC. Let's check it out. I've heard of that place before. It reminds me of The Simpsons. Not to make fun of Smithers. Let's see what's in Smithers, BC. I don't think it's on the line. Not that I've checked. Oh, it's almost on there. Yeah, it's actually not that far off, eh, when you measure how far it is from there to there. It's probably within the 100 miles thing, right? I don't know if Hazelton is more than 100 miles away from Smithers. Right, so it's on the Edmonton line, Saskatoon, Russell, Napawa or Nipawa. Saginaw. So yeah, did you know you live on the same line as Saginaw? Oh yeah, in Washington. So that's the Washington line. So who knew that Smithers was on the Washington line, eh? You know what else? Yeah, you might like this too, because the Washington line goes from Smithers. Guess where else it goes down to? If you take it all the way to here, people are like, well, what's here? Just a circular thing. Anyone who's seen the show before, they know what I'm talking about. That's the Schwabenland seamount. That's a location that the Nazis believed Atlantis was. So that's, who knows if Washington was really built to be on the same ley line as Atlantis, but who knows? So you might have been growing up on the same ley line as Atlantis. Anyways, so let's get into the really weird shit, if this wasn't weird enough already. So we got the God of War connection here in Mexico. We got the God of War connection in New York. Let's continue on through Canada and see where this line is going to go through. Can't remember while I checked. Oh yeah, remember how I talked about how it goes through like all the big harbors and stuff? Connects Boston. We'll leave both lines are, because this really is the space of how wide the line is. It's probably even wider than this. But anyways, I think it's so wide that it goes until the next line begins. So that's really how wide it's going to be. But anyways, so Bar Harbor. Oh, Shelburne's on that one. St. John. If anyone's heard of St. John, I think it's like one of the capitals. Or no, that's Newfoundland. Isn't it? St. John, Newfoundland is anyways. But anyway, St. John, that's a big port city. So when it comes to a sacrifice line and a giant port city, one of the first big examples we have, other than Boston, is St. John. And obviously because it's cutting across the edge of the continent, it's definitely going to have some. So I didn't even know. I've been to Moncton before. I didn't even know that it was a port city for the ocean as well. Looks like they got a channel that comes in there. So where it comes through in Dorchester and Hopewell, that's where you find the sacrifice line. Oh, and here's the other thing. Anyone's heard? Prince Edward Island actually has a bridge that connects across to the mainland. And you'll never guess where they put the bridge. Right across the sacrifice line. So to me, that's not a good sign. Every time I drive over this bridge now, I'll be like, oh fuck, right? So they call it the Confederation Bridge. Must be one hell of a bridge. I've never actually seen it in real life. I should have went because I was so close to it. I remember I used to do call center work for a place called Lower Sackville. I thought that was always funny. Cockburn Street in Lower Sackville. I don't know, I swear Canada must have the weirdest names. Alright, so anyways, we'll go through, it cuts across the bridge, and it goes through another bay on this side, except this one's called like a sandy bay or whatever, but definitely a nice one. So I'd be careful swimming there, right on the sacrifice line. Fuck. That's like one beach, there's probably like sharks everywhere, right? It's just waiting for you. It's like, come swim here. Alright, so now we're getting into some of the ports that it goes through on these parts. Grand Bay. Oh yeah, the river that goes through. So a lot of times the line's going to go right with the river. So you can see how it goes through Searston, Upper Ferry, and it's just going to follow the line. Yeah, you see more Lewis Point. Hey, Gander. I've heard a lot about Gander. Gander, Newfoundland. I think one of my friends was from there. He ended up moving again, but yeah, he was a good guy while he was here. Oh, there's Gander Bay, Fredericton. Dead Man's Bay. Ooh, so Dead Man's Bay is on the line of sacrifice. We'll get into more of that later. I wouldn't be surprised if Oak Island is here, for God's sakes. Ooh, White Island. That sounds evil. No, just kidding. Duck Island. James Island. Alright, so let's continue. You notice how the island chain sort of stretches out with the fucking line too? Even this one. Yeah, it looks like a nice island. I'd like to visit Funk Island. It's funky there. Got the funk. Alright, so we'll continue the line, and we're going to start getting into some more of the weird Orion stuff soon. I don't know how soon. Oh, here we go. So this river that this one goes in parallel with, never guessed the name of it. River Fail. So we'll have to bring up an article about this one. I had never heard of the River Fail before. It kind of reminds me, isn't the Fail like some sort of fairy creature as well, if anyone knows? I think I remember hearing about them a long time ago. But anyways, when I was looking through the names of like why this place is called the River Fail, let's see, there's legends associated with it. And they talk about a legendary woman who is apparently swimming naked, and she died of a heart attack when someone saw her naked. I was like, Jesus, can you imagine these days? She'd be making an OnlyFans page. No. But then they said it also refers to a legend of the three sisters. So if anyone remembers the Orion constellation, we were talking about three belt stars, or the seven sisters. I guess maybe some people might have referred to Orion as the three sisters. I should just, well, I better be careful doing this. We'll do that offline here, just in case there's naked babes that show up here. Who knows what these three sisters will be into. Oh yeah, the three sisters is also that art, or what is it, agriculture thing that the natives taught us about. How the winter squash, corn, and beans are all good to grow next to each other. Oh, there's also an Aboriginal legend that tells the tale of three sisters, Menhi, Wilma, and Gunidu. These three enchanted girls lived in the heart of Jameson Valley as part of the tribe. However, the law of the forbid girls from following their desires to marry outside of their own people. Huh. So when I hear the three stars, I always think about the Orion's Belt thing. But I guess there's a lot of different three stars things. But that was the first neat correlation I kind of thought when we got into it. Alright, let's get back to the map. Alright, so the animal rescue, how that's on the line of sacrifice, that doesn't sound too good. Because I know in my case, like in Canada, when you hear about animal rescue, when they say rescue, usually they mean taking the animals and putting them down. So that's why they have no kill shelters sometimes in the names, so that they can emphasize that no, they're not just catching the animals and killing them. In some cases, they're actually helping them. I get it though, in some cases they're saying they get rid of all the animals that are wild because then they won't be starving or whatever and mass producing, but still it seems very cruel to catch all the animals and kill them. And calling it like a shelter. Oh, Obelisks. Alright, so I think the next major one that we're going to come to here is probably... Oh yeah, we're not into Stonehenge territory yet. Alright, so this I think is the first part. We didn't actually have it exit on a river or a bay of some type. There is a beach, but we won't count it. Unless you count Brownstown. Yeah, I guess you have to. That's a pretty big bay. Or no, it's just a beach. But either way. Now we're going to get into a really weird section in Eastern Europe. I don't know if anyone's heard about what's been going on in Eastern Europe, but man, fucked up shit. Broad Haven, Little Haven. Pope Hill. Well, no, these ones are just beaches, so no bay here. So that would be the first one with no major bay. Right, connects through that bay. Major beach. Prince of Wales Hospital. It always freaks me out how many hospitals are on this sacrifice line. I guess it's only a matter of time that it's going to go over a lot of hospitals, but Jesus, it freaks me out how many. It's like, avoid that hospital. No, I'm just kidding. St. Mary's Hill. That sounds like something. Alright, so which bay did this one come out of? This bay here, if anyone's heard of that bay, looks like a pretty significant one. They call it Cardiff. Yeah, so if anyone's heard of Cardiff Bay, it's part of the sacrifice line. When I was talking about major bays. Here's where it goes in on another river. You know, I was talking about how it always seems to create rivers when it's going through. Not always. Oh, and the ox house. It's part of the sacrifice, the ox legend. Congressbury. We must be getting close to Stonehenge now. Stonehenge isn't really the best part. Once we get into the more of the Eastern Europe and into the Holy Land, we're going to get into some fucking wild fucking shit. We're almost there. Just give everyone an idea of like what's all on this line. We'll try not to skip too much. I guess it's a little bit extreme to think we're going to go over the whole world inch by inch for a whole lap around the planet. Stonehenge, it'll only take us 6 hours. Yeah, so there's Stonehenge. Amesbury. Oh yeah, the one thing I was going to show is pretty funny. Anyone notice the Stonehenge visitor park and Stonehenge itself are all aligned on part of the sacrifice line? I'm sure they did that by coincidence, but it's like they're even aligning it. Amesbury, Allington. Yeah, let's Winchester. Oh yeah, Winchester the gun. Isn't it funny, eh? Winchester the city is on the line of sacrifice. Wonder if that's any relation. Shouldn't make fun of it. It's terrible. Alright, here's where it comes out of that major bay. What's this one? The River Abbey, I think, or something. Or no, River Aldur, or Adur. So that big port sea and all that shit, if anyone's wondering, yeah, that's also part of the sacrifice line. If you want to go swimming on the beach for it, what is this beach? Oh, there was a Winchester factory in Woodstock, Ontario. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because Canada must have needed a lot of guns, right? Fucking always hunting, the fur trade and all that shit. Yeah, we got that New Haven name. It seems like that New or Haven's name's always on the line. Cuckmere Haven? Yeah, some of the names from Europe are so funny. We got one beach, what is it called? Cockburn Beach. I was like, Jesus, don't forget your sunscreen there, right? They got a nude beach. No, I'm just kidding. Alright, so there we go. Another river going in this part. Where are we now? Forgot to check. Yeah, that's another major river. We must be getting into another part of Europe, or what? Oh, we're into France now. Oh yeah, here I was going to show people. You know what's one of the histories of France that's kind of popular? Is they're always fighting countries, right? Like a very war-orientated country. I think it's a war service, or what is it, military conscription, whatever it's called, is mandatory. So if someone's from France, they always have to come back and join the army for a certain amount of time per year, or how many every time period. Who knows if anyone's from France? They could correct me. Maybe that policy isn't still going, but... So that was just funny how this sacrifice line is basically the border of France. Alright, let's take a little bit of a vape while I check out France. Yeah, if someone else wants to see the different cities that line up on the other lines. Copenhagen. Copenhagen's a pretty big city, I think, right? But don't worry, Copenhagen. You're not on the sacrifice one. Now, I'm not going to try to be too offensive here. Especially when you look at history in Europe. I'm pretty sure history in Europe has been violent throughout all of history. So to single out one country as being more violent than another is kind of an arbitrary term. But I'm just going on by like modern history from like, say, the 80s forward. From like basically when I've been born. So if you look at some of the other countries, like I don't think Sweden and Norway have been fighting each other much since the 80s. Or Finland, Estonia, Latvia. You might get into combat or conflicts with, say, like Ukraine and Russia. But when it comes to 8 regions, like in modern times, you see a lot of fighting and bloodshed. Just from like in Canada, when I talk to my friends, I got friends that were from France that had to fight in like the army and shit, so they know all about the wars in France situation. Austria, pretty sure they have a pretty good, no, maybe Austria is more going back to World War II stuff. But anyways, then you get Croatia. And Croatia, as far as I know, like I always get friends that are either Bosnian and Croatian, and they talk about it, like how there's been a lot of wars, how you can even still find landmines in parts of Croatia because they still like haven't even finished cleaning up after the wars. That's how much they've been fighting. Like even Serbia is always fighting, Kosovo. So not to blame like some regions more than others for lots of wars, but isn't it strange how like you take Europe in general and where there's been the most conflicts since the 80s and they almost all line up on the line? It's like, isn't that fucked? Like even Macedonia and Greece, you hear about how they're always having like conflicts with each other even today. And to be fair, I bet you every country in Europe probably does it to a certain degree and we don't even hear about it as much in our media. That's probably what it is, but... Hey, Jelton, how's it going? Yeah, didn't Denmark own everything at one time? I don't know. I look a little bit into European history, but in Canada, well, you probably know, in most cases in elementary school, all we learned about was like treaties between the French and the natives and the British and the natives. That's basically my history classes. I didn't even know about anything about Europe until graduated school and then started to learn it on my own. Who knows, maybe some schools taught about like European history, but I never learned any of it. Could have just been because I was in a Catholic school, and for some reason Catholic schools were always about respecting native culture and teaching you about them constantly. It's weird. And yeah, it's so ironic too, because today you always hear the opposite, but I guess. Anyways, we'll get into the Bulgaria part. So it's weird. I've had friends, or still have friends, that live in like all over Europe, and I've met some people from Bulgaria, Croatia, Serbia. But anyways, we get into Bulgaria. It was funny because one of my friends, she's done like tour guide stuff, or maybe not tour guides there, but maybe in different, I don't know, I'd have to ask her. But I think she's done monastery tours. So I was like, it's kind of weird. Let's type in monasteries in Bulgaria. I was just like, man, this sacrifice line, like each part of the country that it goes through, they usually have some weird temples and stuff. So I was like, let's check out monasteries. Anyone who's from Bulgaria probably already knows where I'm going with this. Oh, fuck. I typed in the wrong monastery. I just put in monastery hoping that it would bring up monasteries in the area that I'm in. But for some reason it just started going to monasteries other locations. So what I'll do to fix that is we'll just copy one of the links here. And I do not see the link. There we go. So we'll go Rila Monastery and see if that brings it up. So if people are getting a little bit of a clue to some of the stuff I'm going to be talking about, we've seen it right there. Yeah, so when you look at some of the like most popular like temples and like ancient spots of like collecting energy and stuff, turns out one of the biggest ones, the monastery of Saint Ivan of Rila, is basically like within a few, I don't know how many miles that is, like probably 10 miles, maybe less. But anyways, yeah, that's definitely damn close to being right on the sacrifice line. So I started to look up and I'm like, who is this Saint Ivan guy from Bulgaria? And what does he have to do with the sacrifice energy line and shit? So let's go check it out. So it turns out there was this guy called John of Rila, or Ivan of Rila, depending on how you pronounce it or whatever, or translate it. He was revered as a saint while he was still alive, and the legend surrounding him says that he could have animals, like wild animals, freely came up to him, and birds, and they would land on his hands. So that sounds fantastic a little bit, but you know, old guys that hang out at the park, they can do that too. They just need food, and the animals will come to them right away. But I think he did other stuff too. What does it say? His followers founded many churches. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like around that line, there was a whole bunch of monasteries. How many did it show? I think it only showed the one, but I think there's like 10 all around that same region of mountains. So I guess he was born northern. Yeah, so he was born and part of that energy line. So that's what I was thinking. This energy line, we have examples where somehow it got the god of war to possess Mike Tyson, or at least channel him or whatever. And we had the god of war from the Mexico thing. And now we're starting to have like saints that are getting powers on this line too. So it's not just like destructive powers, it's also creative powers. And that's one of the weird things. Yeah, I guess we could even bring it up on the slide that we showed before. Where is it? Remember how that wing disc symbology? Yeah, let's bring up the Bulgarian one. How it's usually grabbing the two serpents that descend from the wing disc, or grabbing the two creatures, the mirrored image. Basically what this is referring to in the Zoroastrian beliefs, or from the Avesta, is creation and destruction. So they were showing that not only is this Orion wing disc powerful, but you can gain power of not only creation, but destruction. So that's where we start to see like the god of war is able to possess people living on this line, but there's also some sort of like powerful spiritual saintly energy that's apparently got this John of Rila guy to the point where he was like a revered saint performing miracles. Alright, these miracles brought him undesired fame as he tried to live the life of a hermit and avoid contact with others. No, most Bulgarian people I met are really nice, so I don't know why he'd be like that. Anyways, his growing number... sorry, that was a terrible joke. Many believers support set up camps around his cave, seeking blessings. No, to be fair, all the women I've met from Bulgaria, super nice. World miracles performed. No, the guys are pretty nice too. Alright, let's see. I'm sure that's stereotypical. There'll be nice and mean people, we're sure. Alright, so I guess someday we could read more about this saint, but I thought that was kind of neat that someone I actually knew who's been to this monastery that's, I think it's a World Heritage Site. Let's check it out again. Oh yeah, so technically it is a World Heritage Site. Let's move it over so you can... oh, fuck off, man. Yeah, as soon as I grab it, it shrinks it. Oh, sorry, pardon the... So anyways, I would show you that. Yeah, let's just minimize the chat for a second. That's the best way. So yeah, there you can get a little glimpse of it. If you want to check out the monastery. It is a World Heritage Site. Yeah, World Heritage Site. I don't know when it was built, eh? Established the year 927. Oh, says right there. Yeah, it is a really nice monastery. I wonder if it actually told anything about the energy and the sacrifice line and that it's built on it, or did the people even know, right? Like, who knows? Maybe humanity has been just like coincidentally doing all this stuff on the sacrifice line and we never even noticed. So if anyone's thinking, oh, this is kind of a obscure prophet that's getting powers from this energy, it's arbitrary, like it's very like, what would you say? Arbitrary if Mike Tyson actually did get possessed by the God of War because of this energy line. So let's get on to the next prophet. No, and we're not there yet, so I guess I gave it away, but let's go a little bit further down the line and see who else was born on this line that got powerful energy. This is fucked up, eh? Like, I can't even believe this part. Oh, I know what is it. Rila Mountains. Or no, was that it? Oh, here we go. Monastery near it. There we go. Did that bring up more than one? Fuck, man. It only brought up 2. Yesterday when I did it, it brought up like 10 all around it, but maybe not quite 10, but pretty close to it. Anyways. So we'll skip past the Bulgaria part. If any of my Bulgarian viewers want more information about where the line goes precisely, you can sort of get an idea there. But just keep in mind too that there is the old version of the line and the new version. This is the most precise one, I'd say, the older version that we're looking at now. Anyways, let's go through where it goes through next bay. We got this. What is this? Some sort of bay or channel. Pretty big one. So it might not be as big as the other ones like Boston we talked about, but yeah, that's a pretty big bay and channel that it comes out of. Energy bursts through, leaves its pattern. Here we have it dividing the continent edge. Yeah, here you can see like a burst energy pattern where it came out. Another big bay. Or cove. Alright, so what are we getting into? Are we into Turkey yet? Oh yeah, we're getting into Turkey. Now these are, I got a few of them on here. Hopefully I can find them again because I was just going over it quickly and I don't even know if I can remember all of them. Now there's a few like ancient city type sites places that came up. Let's get the name of it and just go to it. We got it here. Rather than just look for it and take forever. I'll probably miss it. Alright, that one we can close. Where is it? Ah, there it is. So we covered John of Rila, the Rila Monastery. Oh, here it is. The River Fail. Milos. Or Melios? It's a cool name. I like it. Alright, I'm probably saying it wrong, but... Ah, this one's in Greece. So that is not the same one I was looking for. It's funny how it goes to another place with the same name, eh? Anyways, let's go through the Turkey ones. Maybe we'll see it on the way. Or maybe it is coming up, I don't know. Fuck, man. Now, usually what'll happen is if you're following the line, eventually like little symbols will pop up saying, oh, this is like an ancient site or whatever. Which is ironic because I do have a folder that shows all the ancient sites and I could just turn it on, but it eats shitloads of memory up and can cause the computer to crash, so it's usually why I stay away from using it at all times. Who knows, computers in the future, maybe someone will figure out a way to make the file a little bit less laggy. What happened is they made the file too big, adding in a whole shitload of sites in England, which they really should have just said, hey, fuck it, man, put the major sites, don't put every site in England. Yeah, it's like every fucking stone and cross in England they have marked. Yeah, sometimes you can click on these things and they'll show you a little bit about it. Yeah, bungee jumping. The beach of Oz. Yeah, so it does end on another bay or cove. I'm going to have to go back to that article because I'm not finding it here. Ancient city of Melius? I don't know, I could have swore when I typed it in, didn't it come out as Melios and then brought us somewhere else? Like, what the fuck was wrong? Let's try that again. Yeah, it changed it to Melios. Why? That's not where I picked. There we go. I think this one's it. There it is. So when it comes to like one of the ancient sites in Turkey being on the line of sacrifice, let's bring it up. Here it is. It's called Melius. And we'll bring it up. Where is it? So here, oh, it's hard to see. Make it bigger. That's what you said. There we go. So yeah, some of the wildest fucking ancient, looks like, I don't know, a stadium of some type, which they probably were doing the sacrifice rituals. I would not be surprised. But anyways, yeah, so there's like this ancient culture and they were building stuff on the line, which I think, what did they say? It was a Roman period one? Yeah, Roman period. I swear I do not have any Roman artifacts in my collection. Right, there we go. So that's, well, we'll get into the Roman stuff here in a second, but keep that in mind when you're thinking back to different sites, that the Romans are building like really popular things on this sacrifice line, almost like they knew, or they were doing it by accident. All right, so we checked out that one. So let's continue down. So that was just what we found in Turkey, was evidence of when Turkey used to be owned and occupied, I guess, by the Romans. Yeah, it's funny how many times, or it's tragic how many times Turkey's changed ownership over the years. You can imagine how many times it's happened in all these regions. Iran especially, right? Imagine how many times Iran's been conquered over the years. Or at least invaded. Who knows about completely conquered, but... Right, now we're getting into Greece, and I don't think there was anything too fantastic that stood out on Greece. Because Greece is obviously going to have tons of ancient stuff, so arbitrarily you're going to find a lot of ancient sites stuff on it. Who knows how many big fancy ones are on it. If anyone's from Greece in the chat and sees this line, they're like, oh, something stands out to them. Yeah, Greece looks like a neat place to live. Oh yeah, so what river comes in on the ley line on this one, on Greece? This river. So if anyone's from Greece and they know it, well, it's not really a river, it just ends there, or does it keep going? Some sort of weird channel or whatever. You can get some nice seafood there. So yeah, wherever that goes in, that's where the sacrifice thing is. So if you're swimming there, you might want to be careful. Not that you shouldn't be anywhere. But isn't it weird though how like there's always like one little spot where a river goes in, and it's almost every time the energy line, boom, is where that river goes in. Alright, so we're not going to look for anything on the ocean. Alright, so here is where everyone's probably been waiting for, if you're even still watching. This is where we get to the epic part of why the Mexican god of war, or the god of war, chose the people to build the location for Mexico City. Now we're going to start getting into the nitty-gritty, the ultimate of where this line of sacrifice goes. And if people can't guess already, look where we're getting into. We're getting into the Holy Land. So let's see, where is the sacrifice line going to go through in the Holy Land? Does anyone have any guesses? Now remember, the sacrifice line can be massive devastation, but can also create incredible good profits. Who knows if those profits maybe were causing some devastation we didn't know about, but... Holy shit, how do we get up to 6 likes already? Thanks everyone. I'm always thinking like my ley line material so obscure, who the hell's gonna watch it? Like I'm into a lot of obscure stuff and I find ley lines pretty boring. I can imagine all the shit I do with them. Whoa, fuck. Almost smashed my glass. Alright, we're going to get into beer number 2, because, man, this part's really getting epic. I'm going to see if I can make it bigger. That's what she said. Hopefully I can still keep the chat on. Yeah, there we go. We should have been using this view for the rest. Sorry, everyone. Well, at least everyone got to see how I labeled all my files and shit. The worst labeling ever. Oh god, man, I don't even want to get into this. It's so intense. It's like giving good news, bad news. It's a combination of both. Alright, so we won't get to that part yet. Let's zoom in a little, give everyone a little taste of what we're looking at here. So we just summarized before we go to it. We started off at the sacrifice spot in Mexico, where they had to build their city because of that giant ritual with the cactus and the tree of life, sacrifice ritual symbology. So then we continued on and found out that all the September 11th attacks and all that shit occurred on this line. And it's got really powerful warriors like the Cherokee, like Mike Tyson, Zab Judah. Can't remember who all the other champs were from Brownsville. But yeah, you get some fucking incredibly strong warriors all being born on this line. Almost like an energy is possessing them. And you got Mike Tyson literally telling people that the god of war has gotten control of him at some point, if it happened while he was living at Brownsville. Well, yeah, and then we had the sacrifice with the supermodel, or the contestant winner. Then we started to get all the different big bays, like St. John's Bay, Boston Bay, all these other bays are here. We got the Three Sisters River in Ireland, or whatever it was, and then England, we got the Stonehenge, and all the sacrifice stuff with it. We got all the intense wars that have been happening in this part of region of Europe, including the border of France. Then we started to get into some Roman stuff that built onto the line. Oh yeah, the Bulgarian stuff. The different monasteries with these prophets getting incredible powers from like camping on caves on this line. So now, we got into the Roman stuff on Turkey. Did we find anything on Greece? Not too much. But now we're getting into the nitty gritty. As you can see already, Damascus. If anyone's heard about Damascus, that's the war-torn area of the world, where like a lot of the Syrians and stuff had to migrate to Canada and other countries to get the hell out of Dodge, because Damascus is always getting destroyed. Well, who knows always, but it talks about it in, like, I think they went through a lot of peace for quite a while. And then, yeah, there's another phase of getting destroyed. But anyways, yeah, so the Damascus situation is also biblical, where they talk about the Armageddon, or the end times coming, when Damascus is just completely destroyed. So it's almost at the verge of being completely destroyed now. Someone from Syria could argue or give us some info about how true that is. But yeah, I think the damage in Damascus is pretty severe. And when it comes to Beirut, I'm pretty sure you got some actual serious wars and stuff going on there as well. Then obviously you get into the Gaza Strip situation with Israel and the Palestine conflict, the West Bank. That's all on the sacrifice line. Surprise, surprise. Well, obviously people say it's not directly on it, but it's within that 100-mile range or whatever, or kilometer width. So we could look at this and go, oh, that's terrible, like all the destruction shit that's happening here, this line's horrible. But let's zoom in a little bit further. We got Sidon, that's the major port capital city of the world. This was actually the biggest port in the world at one point, because it's the capital city of the Phoenician Empire. And the Phoenician Empire was that giant shipping empire, right? So, oh yeah, and it's named after Noah's grandkids. So it's obviously, it's kind of ironic that all the oldest like port cities are all named after Noah's grandkids. And they come from the timeline of when Noah's grandkids would have actually been there, if they were real. So unless people just went back in time and like named all the cities that, and to taunt people and fool them, they're like, oh, you thought Noah was real, did you? Anyways, won't get too much into the Noah stuff. Well, let's check out what's some of the other things that are in this area. If anyone's heard the Bible stories, you'll know that there's quite a few cities that stand out around here. What do we get? Nazareth. Has anyone ever heard of Nazareth before? It's actually the hometown of Jesus, right? Jesus of Nazareth, the Sea of Galilee. So this is the area that Jesus spent like most of his life walking around, right? So Jesus was literally born. Like, where's Bethlehem? We'll check that out. I know it's pretty close too. Yeah, Bethlehem of Galilee, or Galilee. Galilee. Yeah, so there's even closer to the line. So isn't that weird, eh? We got Bethlehem, Nazareth, where Jesus lived and was born, almost directly on the fucking line, right? Like within a few miles of it. Like you could walk to it. So I don't know, that's kind of a fucked up situation. Damascus. You know what was weird? I tried to make this line land right on the, what is it, Baalbek? Has anyone's heard of that? It's the giant fucking sacrifice stone. Baalbek in Lebanon. Oh, there it is. But I was disappointed because I'm like, yeah, the line doesn't look right if it lands right on Baalbek because the spacing's all off. So I was like, fuck, I can't put the line right on it. So I had to put it where the spacing matched. And then I looked to see what did it land on instead of Baalbek. Because I was like, fuck, man, I love Baalbek. I wanted it to land right on it. So guess what it landed on instead of Baalbek? Even though Baalbek is basically on it, it's just like a few miles to the left or whatever. Let's zoom in. Dun-dun-dun. Has anyone heard of this place before? Mount Hermon. I knew it kind of rang a bell to me, but I was like, I couldn't like pinpoint what exact legends came from Mount Hermon. So we check about the two ancient sites that are lining up on Mount Hermon on the line, and they turned out to be, let's check it out, a military base, interestingly enough, and a really ancient military base, I think. I put in the name of this into Google, and it came up with some like Roman ruins. So I was like, it's an ancient site of Roman ruins that probably also was a military base at some point. So Mount Hermon. Let's bring up Mount Hermon. If any of the viewers have heard of it, they're probably already freaking out at this point. It's like, you gotta be kidding me. It landed on Mount Hermon. Alright, so let's bring up Mount Hermon. It's Lebanon mountain range. Straddles the border between Syria and Lebanon. War-torn areas. Oh, it's the highest permanently manned UN position in the world. So if you want to go to a really high up location. Yeah, Israel owns part of it, the Golan Heights or something, and they turned it into a ski resort. So instead of keeping it sacred and holy, they turned it into a ski resort, which is kind of weird, but I don't know if the First Nations people are in charge of that mountain. They wouldn't be turning it into a ski resort, I doubt, but to each their own. I kind of think that's neat in a way too, instead of like making a place so spiritual that you just enjoy it however you want. I'm pretty sure the gods in the mountains don't really care what you do on it. Maybe they do. Alright, so let's bring up the religious importance since antiquity. Sacred enclosure. Hey, Mount Hermon's name, it comes from the Semitic root, which means taboo or consecrated, and the Arabic term al-Haram, which means sacred enclosure. So taboo. So, it's weird. It almost shows the ley line pattern when I click on taboo. Alright, so let's get into the oldest one. And let's put the chat away just for a second so we can actually read this. Oh yeah, we have to make the screen bigger too. Let's go to... Let's try this one. There we go. And let's move the chat away just for a sec. Hermetic, yeah. Alright, let's see. We'll put the chat away just for a sec. We'll come back to the chat. And I guess we should move myself over a bit. Oh, fuck off. Really? It's like I'm trying to click it. It'll just click anything but what I need. Alright, so we get into the Epic of Gilgamesh, the old school Sumerian legends. Let's see what they talk about this mountain. It turns out the Epic of Gilgamesh mentions Mount Hermon, and it's split after Gilgamesh killed Humbaba. And Humbaba, in the original Gilgamesh translations, was this barbarian that lived in the forest. But then later they found out that he was like a great king, or almost like an immortal. Like one of the fallen gods or whatever. So anyways, the guardian of this cedar forest, or the king, the ground split open after he was killed. So that's what they talk about, the split Mount Hermon. Which reminds me, one of the mountains that I like to climb up north in my province, it's also split down the middle. So I didn't realize how common that was. Alright, so Urgadic religion. The mountain or summit is referred to as Saphin, or Urgadic text, which is the place of Baal. Remember that temple we were just talking about a minute ago? The Baal temple? He's the one, the god that requires all the sacrifice and stuff. All to do with that, like, ox and the alpha to omega shit. Basically, Noah's pagan side of the family. Alright, so let's get into the Bible or biblical stuff. This is where it really starts to get wild. Alright, Deuteronomy, it mentions the boundary. Some river boundary. Yeah, that makes sense, how those lines always split the rivers. The Book of Chronicles mounts where these people had their families. Alright, formation. A dew formation. Huh. Alright, so here we go. The Apocalyptic Book of Enoch. Enoch turns out to be the name of the city that we started this whole tale from. Remember how the guys, or the people that were instructed to build the city, they built it, named it Enoch Titlan. And some people argue that Cain, when he was banished to Nod, actually made it all the way to America. And that's why when he was wandering and he built a city in a faraway land and named it Enoch, that we have the same city, same name. So I think that goes back to a story I heard from the late great, oh fuck man, I can't even remember his name, Gerald Clark. Yeah, Gerald Clark. He was the guy that told me about that. Sadly he passed, but yeah, he was a great guy. Alright, so the Book of Enoch is where the Mount Hermon is the place where the Watchers, or the class of fallen angels, descended to the earth. So when we talk about the god of war possessing people that live on this ley line, such as Mike Tyson in Brownsville, we literally have the text that talks about it. Mount Hermon, or this ley line, is where Watchers, or the demon class of fallen angels, descend to the earth. They swear upon the mountain that they would take wives among the daughters of men and take mutual appreciation for their sin. So basically possessing them. Man, oh man, that's fucking intense, right? So when this whole time I was reading about this like sacrifice line, going, where is it going to go next? Where is it going to go next? When it went through the Bulgaria part, that kind of freaked me out a little. I was like, so weird that I know people that like go to this monastery and it turns out it's part of this weird sacrifice line. But when it got to the biblical stuff and how it's like the actual energy line where the fallen angels are descending to the fucking earth, it's like, dear God, no wonder the god of war wanted the Mexico City built on that fucking line. This is the line where the fallen angels descend to the earth. Not to say that the people in Mexico City are like angels possessed or people possessed by demons, but I wouldn't be surprised if it could happen there, not to everyone, but to some people. Who knows? Allegedly. Alright, so we get into other stuff about this like Mount Hermon and all the other legends associated with it. Oh god, man. Do we even get into the God of War stuff? I wouldn't be surprised. Here we should read this. It's the Mountain of Oath. A sacred building made of blocks of stone, or at the summit of Mount Hermon. Oh, it was the highest temple of the ancient world and was documented by Sir Charles Warren. So fuck, man, that's where the oldest temple in the world was. You gotta be kidding me. That's arguably true, I bet. Nicholsburg connected the inscription with the oath taken by the angels under Samaza. Who the hell's that? He's a fallen angel. So an oath taken by the fallen angel, bound by a curse, in order to take human wives. Ah. You know, when they talk about demons taking the human wives, it almost makes me wonder, is like, did they actually like physically have relations with them, or did they mean the energy from the demons, demonic energy, was helping to shape the offspring of women that are born or having children on this energy line? It's like, you know, when you're having a kid, little traits from the father in the kid, some traits from the mother, maybe from the mother's family line, and what else? Maybe you can add in some of the energy, the consciousness coming from the planet itself. And if you happen to be born on a certain ley line, you're going to be susceptible to taking in some of these fallen angels. Hence, how we got so many of the greatest warriors, prophets, and healers, and saints. Fucking Jesus, for God's sakes. Born on this sacrifice energy line. Baal Hermon. Oh, that's where, yeah, Baal's name comes from, is Lord of Hermon. Man, this is so fucked up. Like, when you think about it too, right? Like, getting that coin when I was a kid, having to research all this fucking stuff for years on end, learning the goddamn ley line map, for fuck's sakes, and then finding out that it traces back to the legend about the goddamn coin I was given. What the fuck? Has to be the weirdest coincidences ever. And I think it has to be too, is just confirmation bias. It's like I'm looking for confirmation of it for so long and so many years. Obviously, I'm going to find some confirmation. And is that confirmation more than out of the ordinary? Or it just seems that way because I'm confirming it all the time and ignoring things that disprove it. The whole confirmation bias. And maybe a little bit of both. Yeah, the ski resort, that's kind of funny. You take the holiest mountain in the world and turn it into a fucking ski resort. Sacrilege. Now, I shouldn't make fun of the Israelis. I'm sure they're usually experts when it comes to, like, religious stuff, you'd think. I'm sure there's nothing wrong with the ski range on the holy mountain. Alright, so that's where we got into the Mount Hermon stuff, and that's where it really freaked me out the most. I think we do get into the God of War stuff a little bit more, but was it on this one? I don't think I found it. Let me just check it briefly. No, I don't see the God of War in this part, so it must have been another one. Let's continue on with the map and see what else. I think we're getting near the end of the sacrifice energy stuff. The resort. Oh man, just looking at that still, Mount Hermon. Alright, if you go along this line through it. I noticed at some points it goes over some of the fracking oil wells that they had in this part of the world, which I was kind of surprised. I thought fracking was pretty much just a US thing, but I guess they're doing it everywhere. So they talk about like the black ooze and how sometimes like oil could sometimes have like some sort of demonic energy attached to it. So when I was thinking, when it comes to getting oil out of the ground, taking it off the sacrifice energy line, I wonder if there's something to that. Like you're getting to the point where, man, like there's a lot of weird shit going on with this already. I would not be surprised if there's some sort of other element to it that we haven't even stumbled upon yet. Yeah, this was one of the ones that made me wonder, what is this? Does that look like a giant cavern or a volcano or something? Alright, I'm going to have to type in the name of this. If for some reason it won't let me get any information from it. Macman? Moosh. Weird. Ah, here we go. What is it? Yeah, it says that it's some sort of weird mountain range. It's not giving me any information about it from that one. Oh, here it says it's a sinkhole. So I don't get it. Is it a sinkhole or what? First it said a mountain, now a sinkhole. Weird. Oh, here it is. This is what it says it is. What a fucking weird coincidence. It says here that it's a muddy volcano. It's one of the most beautiful mud volcanoes in Google Earth. So remember when we were talking about volcanoes ending up on the sacrifice line? I didn't even know this one was on it, but it's one of the biggest and most beautiful ones. Weird, eh? Well, arguably, if you take a line and you draw it all the way around the planet, obviously this is probably going to fall at least one volcano, but man, that's weird. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if there's 3 volcanoes near here and we get some sort of like alignment similar to Mars. Seems like that's a repeating pattern. Yeah, that looks like another one. Oh, here we get into these oil wells. If anyone's seen these circles before, the US is just covered in them. And they say it's some sort of like fracking technology. So I don't know if anyone's from this part of the region, they know if it is that or not. It's funny, this orange line here, this is that Great Circle line that we were talking about before that goes through the Great Pyramid and Angkor Wat and stuff. So this is where it meets the sacrifice line. It just happens to be the area loaded with oil for some reason. I bet you it must be because it's the 2 energy line points where they interconnect. That results in like a shitload of oil. We could be actually stumbling across the technology to create oil. Like there's a lot of people that debate what is the real solution of like what's making oil. Because they had the theory about fossils and all that shit, but it's pretty much disproven because we know that there's no fossils of dinosaurs on other planets. Yeah, other planets had tons of fossil fuels. So where did they get it from? It wasn't from dinosaurs. Yeah, this is the weirdest episode ever. I'm trying to think about what else I forgot. I could have swore there was one more God of War connection. Maybe it was Baal? Was Baal the God of War? No, I was thinking there was some other connection to it. Yeah, let's type it in. Baal Hermon. Let me type in something else too. Baal Hermon, God of War. See if that comes up. No, I don't see it there. Let's see what Baal says. Yeah, so they're saying Baal actually just means Lord in one of the languages. God, there's like no information about him. What the fuck? Alright, let me type in God of War and just see what comes up in that. Because we might narrow it down a lot faster that way. Was Kratos a real god? No, there's too much video game stuff. It's not telling us anything about real God of War. So whatever it was in that, someone else thought of another God of War that we happen to go right over and not talk about. So let me know in the chat. I think we missed one. Let's try just typing in Baal. Maybe that'll... No, just going into Dragon Ball stuff. Fucking annoying, man. Oh well. I'm sure we'll find it if it was important. And it'll give us something to talk about in the end of the chat. Oh yeah, and the other thing I wanted to talk about too. Kabab. So the other thing that we got relatively close to the line of sacrifice and biblical is we got the black cube of Mecca, or the Kaaba, or Kaaba. So it's definitely not right on the line, but it's definitely within that range of being close to it. So I thought I'd mention that one. And people can see that this sacrifice line is basically the line that runs parallel with the Gulf. Is this the Persian Gulf, or no, this is the Red Sea? Yeah, the Red Sea one. And it does kind of go with the Gulf a little there. And what does it exit with? It exits right on this. Remember I was talking about how it always explodes out with like a river or something? So there it did it again here. Isn't that fucked too? Like, look how big this channel is, and there's hardly any other small little rivers, but the biggest one lines bam right on it. What are the odds? Bam. Wham bam, thank you ma'am. All right, let's see, where are we going next here? I think we're all the way back to where we started. Yep, back to Mexico. So yeah, if I was like wondering, if I had to take a guess, if someone was like making it my assignment to figure out why the God of War wanted Mexico City built where it is, I don't think it's a coincidence that this Mexico City was built on the line of sacrifice. The one associating with not only Earth, but Mars, the God of War, in so many different places. Yeah, so we got the God of War there. See if we can find it just by looking over. Maybe there was a God of War story within the First Nations people that we missed. That could be it. The God of War story for somewhere in Europe. Maybe we missed that. I don't think there is a God of War in Europe. Maybe someone could put it in the chat. Could be something with Turkey and maybe Bulgaria. Maybe we missed a God of War connection there. That could be it. Now, I know there was one other one that I was going to bring in. I should have wrote them all down, but there was one I forgot. Could be in Cyprus. Maybe there was a Cyprus connection to the God of War. Prester John. Not really familiar with that one. Alright, so we definitely covered the God of War stuff here when it came to... Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say too. Remember that Mount Hermon legend that we were talking about in the Epic of Gilgamesh? What was one of the legends? Killing the god, right? So the whole sacrifice thing, killing a god. Like even Jesus, for God's sakes, man. He was sacrificed and killed here. Mount Hermon, there was a god sacrificed and killed. So yeah, if anyone else lives on this sacrifice line that's watching the episode and there's something that I missed that you could add to it in the chat, definitely let everyone know. That'd be sweet. I know it's kind of freaky because a lot of this stuff is bad, but when you look at like the Jesus story part of it and the other prophet from Bulgaria, or that saint, Ivan, that was it, from Mount Rila. I don't know, I just think it's such a weird coincidence too. Like, not to say that the Persian Gulf or whatever, Saudi Arabia is a country of war, but it does seem like there's a little bit of conflict still when it comes to Saudi Arabia and the rest of the world, right? So it's like you got conflict almost everywhere across this entire line. I know Bulgaria, I'm pretty sure they still have military conscription when it comes to at least guys. I don't think women are conscripted, but could be wrong about that. Yeah, and then you have the conflicts between Serbia, Croatia, Bosnia, all the landmine situations still even in Croatia. Or maybe someone could correct me if I'm wrong. Did they actually get rid of all the landmines in Croatia? That'd be nice if they did. Oh yeah, and then when you think about the most war-torn country in the world, basically, Italy or Rome at one point. Really, Rome is like parallel with this line, and it's not really that far from it. So you could really just say, hey, Rome is part of the sacrifice line too, so that all the Roman damage throughout the world could be part of that. Who knows? Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking of too. One of the Roman gods of war. Oh, that's what it was. Remember the temple that I said on the top of that mountain? Where was it? Mount Hermon? How they had those Roman ones? The Roman temple was to the god of war. So that was the other one I was trying to get to. Yeah, so when it came time to the god of war connections, it was gods of war from the Romans, the Aztecs, Phoenicians. Who knows, maybe the ancient people in like Bosnia and Croatia and all them, they might have had some God of War stuff on this line. No, we've just lost that to the pagan history getting wiped out mostly in Europe. Yeah, and that border with France. Not to make fun of France as like a country that gets involved in a lot of wars, but dear God, man, their border is basically the sacrifice line. Anyone from France watching this is like, oh, we knew it all along. That's where the real wars begin. Those damn French people. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm part French because Canada is like bilingual and stuff, and A lot of my favorite guests actually on the show are French, so shouldn't make too much fun. I'm sure they can take it. French people got thick enough skin. Not to make fun of all of them, saying they're all the same. Yeah, so if any of the other viewers got questions that they want to cover in the chat before we wrap it up, we could get more into the gravity well stuff, but this show has been already going for fucking 2 hours. God damn it. I was hoping it was an hour, and look, it's 2. Son of a... I should have guessed. Yeah, we kind of went really slow over that line. I don't know. To me, it really makes me think too. Let's bring up maybe a couple more slides to put on the screen to wrap this charade up. Excuse me. All right, so yeah, just bringing up this image here. We got the Mexico coat of arms underneath me from the coin that I had since I was a kid, given to me by the Mesha Spenta, or the light beings, angels, fallen angels, whatever the hell you want to call them. It was weird how this gravity well map ended up turning out to be pretty much the tree of life that this freaking symbology is supposed to be representing, right? So, and it's got the cube in it, the one from Mecca. Or just a similar cube. Oh yeah, and then it was JJ Ainsworth. She was talking about how one of her posts showing off some of these really cool monasteries and stuff. So it was neat, like how like monasteries throughout the globe, some of them are actually on like really important energy spots. Maybe it's because they're built on the ruins of pagan temples from earlier periods, but yeah, it's pretty wild. Oh yeah, and if anyone wants to help work on these ley line maps, just let me know in the chat. I could use the help big time. I suck at drawing them, so if anyone's even remotely good at it, you're way better than me. You could probably get it done way faster than me just working on it. Now, to think about how this could affect our world today, it kind of freaks me out, this sacrifice technology stuff, because we're really starting to get into like the technology that was used to create the universe. So once we reach a certain level of technology, whatever the game is that the universe is all about, pretty sure there's an endpoint, and wherever that endpoint is, or the cycle ends, it's going to be near the point where we develop the technology to create universes ourselves. So it does kind of feel like we're opening Pandora's box here, but it is at the same time so interesting. I can't contain myself. I have to look. The temptation. Now, and if anyone's kind of freaked out that they saw their house on the line of sacrifice or whatever, who knows? Maybe your real estate might be worth a fortune. Some people might think, hey, I'm going to buy property on this line now that people know where it is. And who knows? Arguably, maybe this line is nothing and it's just random locations that we happen to cherry pick evidence to match. That could be it too. If I had to guess, that's probably what it is, but I do like looking at all this stuff just in case there is something to it. If I had to guess, yeah, like 90% of the odds, it probably is just me cherry picking and confirmation biased. Like fucking 32 years of confirmation bias. I've been picking cherries for 30 years. Got a few. Alright, hopefully I don't show any boobs by accident going through some images, but let's see what else we got. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to talk about. When it came to the Mexico thing and the pyramids. Can't leave out the best one. No, I was just going to say that this technology, it really struck me. It's like, this is the type of technology, right? the technology to build a pyramid and have it align on the equinox to create these weird shadows. This is a type of technology. And then I figured it out that, or maybe arguably figured it out, that this type of technology is going to require some sort of instrument in order to make it possible. Like, how do you know where to build and for shadows to occur on the equinox? Then I figured it out to some degree, is this map here. These gravity well maps that I make are based on the equinox patterns. And the reason why this one in yellow is so precise is because it's based on today's equinox values. And those are like the tropic lines and everything on a normal map. So I can just measure it exactly. So I don't have to like draw it by hand or anything or guess where each line's supposed to be by city landmarks. I can just measure it from the freaking equinox. So that's what I was thinking, like these equinox point measurements, they actually create shadows and they actually create these weird triangle patterns even in the land itself. And then I noticed that's what it is on the side of the pyramids as well. When they did that step pattern and the snake's body descending on the equinox, it literally is the same technology that carves planets out in the same fashion. So we see like patterns repeating in nature and ancient technology. Sort of how like Tesla, all of his inventions are basically just copying nature and trying to get it to work to meet our own needs. Yeah, so I guess that's where we'll wrap it up with the Mexican pyramid. That's probably a good one. So if anyone's wondering, oh yeah, I know what we could wrap it up with. Maybe we should wrap it up with a picture of Tenochtitlan. I'll see if I got one. I should. Probably in my Aztec folder, hopefully. Yeah, let's go with... Well, I'm just looking at some of J.J. Ainsworth's pictures on ancient research and wondering if I should show any of them, but yeah, let's go with this one. This one's actually from Billy Carson. He was the one who shared this with me. Well, he shared it on his Facebook and I just happened to check it out. So this is one of the original like Aztec pictures, what they were showing, that like the legend about the bird and how it was supposed to mark the location to build the city according to the God of War. When Billy Carson took like the recreated version, it shows how it's coming out of his stomach. Same as that sacred chief from India we covered earlier. So we see that there is the sacrifice ritual heavily associated with this. So if anyone's wondering if like this Mexico thing happened to be a coincidence, but I don't think it is. Like sacrifice really was a big part of the Mexican or early American culture. Or not American, pre-American culture. Yeah, maybe we'll wrap it up with another picture of that. Now, some people think that the city of Tenochtitlan was Plato's Atlantis because it was like a floating city and like an island. But I'm not too sure that it was. At one point, I was almost convinced that it was, but now I'm more so considering that location in the actual Atlantic that we covered earlier on the ley line of Washington and Smithers, BC. But who knows? Maybe the work that we covered here about Tenochtitlan actually was covering the location of Atlantis. You never know, right? Yeah, and if anyone wants to help finish this ancient map, get all these lines straight for me so that they don't actually have all these weird bends to them, and we can get the full map completed to share with people, that'd be great. And I can't really offer to pay a lot because I'm pretty pov myself, but if anyone wants to help out, yeah, that's what we should do, is check out some of the stuff for me. If you want to help my Patreon so I can make sure to do more of this work more often or just have more free time in general to enjoy life, you can help me out with like Suki, Dan, Jim, Ray, and Travis, and everyone else a patron have. Really appreciate everyone. No, we're actually down to one patron. A few people had to stop their support, but I appreciate everyone who's helped out in the past and anyone who will in the future. Cheers. Right, so yeah, and we got Society 6, finishing quick is my specialty, saying that comes on t-shirts and bed sheets, both popular with the ladies. Hideout TV will pay you to watch videos, Swagbucks will pay you to shop, GameKit will pay you to try games, and free Bitcoin. It's a wallet system for crypto. If you wanted to try crypto and you have no money like me, then you can just do that. Join up for free Bitcoin. They'll give you tiny loot boxes that you can open like every hour. Take the little bits of crypto out of it, put it in your wallet, save it up until you get a reasonable amount. And then you can they give you ways that you can gamble, collect interest and all that stuff, but just make sure you follow all your regional laws, including for the virtual maid sex machine. It's for adults and men only, but ladies need a sex machine. They know who to call. I'm just kidding. But what I'm not kidding is you got a $10 off coupon code for 150 or more below. It's Lying BS. That's LYNBSN. No, it's not a fake coupon code. I actually get a kickback, and big shout out to people at Virtual Mate for helping me out with that. It's a nice thing to be able to share during the lockdowns. Some people hate it, other people love it way too much. I'm looking in the mirror when I say that. All right, let's go. Oh yeah, my website. I'm going to get that updated with a whole bunch of the ley line gravity well research soon. Yeah, I'm way overdue on updating it, but we'll get her done soon. Hopefully if we get some more patrons helping out, I can get more time away from my day job and get working on other stuff and getting it finished. But I'll make do with what we can in the time being. All right, so thanks again, everyone. Let's go to the Vaporizer commercial. Yeah, why not? If anyone wants to help out my Vaporizer stuff too, make sure to sign up, or not sign up, subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Facebook page. Once we reach 1,000 views or subs, I'm going to try to get the company going again. It's just my failed Vaporizer modification attachment for the Extreme Q. I don't make the Extreme Q, not affiliated with them. But yeah, if you wanted to get a modification for it in the future, check it out. So we'll play the commercial, we'll be right back, and then we'll wrap up the show. And if anyone has more questions, just put in the chat, we'll cover it before we go. Okay, it's only a short commercial. Be right back. Holy shit, 7 likes. Hey, Jelton Inc. Good evening. Yeah, welcome back, everyone. Woo. All right, let's give a shout out to all the viewers that helped to make the stream fun for me tonight. All right, Loveface HD or Naked HD, welcome back. Make sure to keep your clothes on, ladies. It is YouTube. Rusty Valor, just dropping by for a like. Yeah, thanks a million, Rusty. Wicked News 8100. Stonerhenge, yeah, Stonerhenge, that is a good one. Loveface, Naked HD, Wicked News. Oh yeah, we got Slavic letters, possibly from Bulgaria. Wicked News, and Jelton Inc. So let's give a big round of applause to everyone. Yeah, so if I had to guess, why exactly would it even matter for the gods to put Mexico on this line of like sacrifice? Why did they even care? And I think it really comes down to is one of the slides that we probably should have mentioned before I was going to wrap up. Almost left the best part out. It's just how we roll. No, the very planet itself has many different sacrifice legends associated with it. Similar how like the world elephant and the giant turtle. Well, let's go with center screen. Yeah, the world elephant, the giant turtle. We get a lot of information about it and how there's a sacrifice story in the very creation of our planet. The turtle actually, what was it? The creator instructed the natives to cut the head off the giant and tie it to Turtle Island's tail. Thanks to Jacob. If you want to check out his videos on YouTube, he's got some great history. It's Turtle Island history by Jacob. You'll find it. And yeah, shout out to Jacob for sharing that. I didn't even know that this world history is part of Hindu, Chinese, and the indigenous people of the Americas. So I appreciate all those people for sharing it. Where would the Europeans be without everyone sharing shit with us? But anyway, so let's go. That's one of the reasons why I was thinking that it's so important for the natives, or for the gods to instruct people to be building things on this sacrifice line, is because sacrifice is literally a part of the fucking planet. It's freaky how it works that way, but some people argued, like I was actually just reading some of the Japanese ancient history of sacrifice. I actually got their ancient, like the oldest books from Japan, like the Koji or whatever they're called. Got another one. But anyways, they have to paraphrase it, could be getting it wrong. They were talking about how the gods told like the ancient people in Japan that they needed sacrifice in order to make the world work. And if there wasn't sacrifice, the earth just couldn't function properly. It's like the energy that sustains it. And they said that there's two possibilities that the gods can get this energy. They said they can either just randomly destroy stuff on the planet and get the energy that way, but it causes a lot of havoc. Or they could ask the people on the planet to offer sacrifices to the gods, and then they would make less destruction on the planet and other locations because they didn't need the energy anymore. So I think what happened throughout time is as people stopped pleasing the gods just started getting energy randomly from the planet. So the gods were like, hey man, this random energy, it's great and all, but it's still not enough. And they can't like force people to do it. So what they started to do was like to just tell people, they're like, hey, build your city on this fucking line. They're not really telling people like, hey, build this city because every person who dies in this city, we're going to harvest their energy. But I think that's part of the reason why. And if anyone else in the chat has some sort of guess or reason why they think it is, I think that is a pretty wild theory to think, like, is sacrifice energy that powerful that that's why they would tell people that they needed cities on it? Like, hey, if you're going to build the biggest fucking city in the world, because yeah, let's look, what is the biggest population city in the world? Let's ask Google. Hey Google, what city has the biggest population in the world? Ten largest cities in the world. Let's check out that. Oh, Mexico reaches close to the top. Actually, not really. They're in the top 5 though. Let's check. Yeah, it goes Tokyo, Japan, 37 million. New Delhi, or Delhi in India, 29 million. Sorry if Google's talking. I forgot. She sometimes will talk. What a witch. No, I'm just kidding. She's a good witch. Anyways, Shanghai has 26 million. Brazil, 21 million. And Mexico City, tied or just below Brazil. Yeah, it's almost the top 4 at 21 million. Is it fucked too? Brazil's got that giant population. They have that huge problem of everyone getting killed. Horrible gang violence. I couldn't believe some of the bullet holes in all the cities and stuff. I was like, man, I shouldn't make fun of it because Canada's getting worse gang problems all the time, but yeah, and then that huge destruction in Mobile, the September 11th attacks. God, isn't it fucked how much energy or sacrifice is going into this line? A lot of people don't even know it's real, or it could be real. Allegedly. I don't know, is like crime bad in this parts of Mexico? Well, I guess, yeah, Mexico's got a pretty bad crime problem, probably, yeah. And they're trying to figure out why. Not to blame like the energy on this line for crime in different places, but man, makes you wonder. Now, if anyone wants to see when I was talking about, what is it, the ley lines and different rivers that burst out, one of the biggest ones, that Great Pyramid line, Angkor Wat and stuff, it bursts out at the Amazon Mouth River. So when you talk about big river mouth bursting, can't get much bigger than the freaking Amazon, right? I think we're in Africa. Does it come in at the mouth of the Congo? Yeah, looks like it is. Not directly on, but damn fucking close. If you zoom out far enough, it almost looks like it. Or is that another river? Maybe the Congo's entrance is down here. But anyways, that was a big river nonetheless. Yeah, what are the odds of that, eh? Like the line that connects the mouth of the Amazon and the Congo happens to be the big pyramid line. Yeah, let's get everyone's opinions in the chat too. If anyone likes the different ley line maps, which one do you like better, the old-fashioned one, or that goes by monuments and ancient sites, or do you like the more traditional style, where we just get the yellow lines that actually from today's measurement points? See, even today's, when we talk about the measurement points, just to show people how accurate this actually is when it comes to like scientific evidence, we'll bring up the Earth's impact crater database. And this red one happens to be one of the biggest, largest craters in the world. And they found out that it's not a meteor impact. So they're trying to figure out what's creating these giant craters. So I think it's the gravity well field around this orb point, because it lands directly over it, but someone could argue and say there are ones off to the side with no orb points there. Well, maybe those are actual meteors. I don't know, but yeah, I think some of these ones are actual meteors, right? Like that's what the file's called. So anyways, that's some of the evidence I have that these gravity well fields are something. And when you just look at the continents themselves, how they actually fill in some of the patterns. Like Africa is basically inside of this circle. Australia is basically inside of this field. India and South America, or not South America, Southeast Asia, India, even there. It's all like dividing like the edge of the pyramid. Yeah, we're getting some viewers from China and parts of Japan that are sharing my ley line information. Appreciate that, everyone. So there's some more looks at the different ones for China or Japan, Korea. I was hoping it was going to show the city names, but it doesn't look like it wants to. I think it's because this is on. We'll take this off. Just so we won't make it too European-centric, today's episode, or American-centric. Alright, so we got, what is it, Pyongyang, one of the capitals there. I think Beijing, yeah, Beijing falls on the line. Yeah, so when you got Beijing and Pyongyang, some pretty big cities. Fuzhou, Hong Kong, Bangkok almost. I bet you the other map falls right on it. Alright, so we'll wrap it up there. I guess we'll finish off at the sacrifice line. Maybe we'll even finish off at Mars. Mars is really my favorite one. When I seen how everything lined up on Mars, I was like, you got to be kidding me. So yeah, there's the reason right there. Theirs would be Mexico City. So why did the gods want Mexico City aligned right there? It's 'cause it's on the line of the fucking sacrifice volcanoes. I think even Mexico itself, doesn't it have a lot of volcanoes around it in this area? Let's go back and check that just quickly. I think I got a file that's called volcanoes. So we'll remove Mars. It must be mixed in with one of the other ones. Alright, well, the stream's already so long. Well, we'll check out the volcanoes the next time. What happens sometimes, I'll be using this file and I'll accidentally drag one of the folders into another folder by accident. So then it'll be buried within the folders and I can't find it. Well, I got one for volcanoes and we'll check it out next time. So there it is, the sacrifice for Mexico City. So you could ask the same reason, like, why did the god of war tell the people to build the cities in that spot in Mexico? Why did the plane get kidnapped in Boston? Why did the plane hit a tower in September 11th in New York, the trade centers? Why did the other plane hit the Pentagon? Why are all those buildings on the line? So I think it's all because we see a similar answer staring right at our face here. Who knows, maybe the sacrifice line really is this wide. The one that goes from Stonehenge to Mexico compared to the modern one on today's actual real solstice alignments. It's definitely running parallel with it, not that far from it. So maybe the sacrifice area energy is everything in between here. All the way around. I wouldn't be surprised. And what are the odds too that it all traced back to Mount Hermon, where we literally have the legend, where that could be the reason why, right? Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest reason out of the whole thing too, is because of the Mount Hermon. It tells you why. It's because the gods are descending to the earth. And where? On this energy line. So why did they need a city there? Because they wanted people there. Maybe not just to collect their energy from sacrifice, but to actually take hosts. I know demonic stuff is a very weird topic and most people aren't into it, but man, it's something I can't deny. I have to at least consider the possibility. Yeah, so there it is, the line where it came to Mount Hermon. Now, so what I'll do is I'll keep everyone up to date and we'll share the progress on me putting together this map and trying to complete it in the same fashion that I did for the modern map. It's just so much easier to make the modern map with the actual solstice alignments, because I don't know what the solstice assignments used to look like back when this older or different map was designed. I'm not sure why exactly they're different from each other. Could it be just the shape of the planet and it's not really like that whole pear shape? Because it's a pear shape, that's why it doesn't line up. That could be the reason why. Like when you look at the difference between the two line patterns here, right? Like really, what is the reason they're separate? It's not off by much. Is it because of the planet being a pear? You just crush it in and then all of a sudden it would actually line up perfect. That could be, right? All right, so thanks to everyone, the Revelations of the Pyramid, Julie Ryder, everyone else, like the Higgins leyline maps and all the other people working on leylines maps. Sorry, I keep forgetting everyone's names. But yeah, so big shout out to everyone. Good luck to everyone working on their maps. Hopefully you can find one even better than mine and share it with me in the future. Because I'm not trying to say mine's the only ley line map. There's plenty out there, and I'm sure a lot of them are just as good, if not better than mine, so I encourage you to check those out as well. I think really in the future what I'd like to do is work with as many leyline researchers as possible and try to get information from everyone to team up and solve the mystery. I really doubt any one researcher will be able to pull it off all on their own. Alright, so yeah, big shout out again, and we'll probably do another episode about this, about Mexico, and I'll try to condense it into like 10 minutes, into like a faster YouTube format. But today was just sort of a longer format in case anyone wants the extended version. Finishing quick is my specialty, so we'll try to do it better next time. Alright, so anyways, that's what she said. Let's wrap up the show before I say anything worse. Right, if you happen to get any Mexican leyline God of War energy in your vaporizer and it tastes like shit, give the show a dislike. But if that doesn't happen and you can give the show a like, really appreciate it. And just make sure, never buy the products from my sponsor.
Because it will ruin your life. Bye for now, everyone.
See you later, take care, and good luck. And yeah, big rest in peace to the woman who died in that Orion Tower horrific suicide. And I'm not trying to say she was murdered or killed or anything. I'm actually one of those people that believes that the universe sometimes puts all these things together without people even knowing. It's like, it's almost like destiny, or like that movie, what was it, Final Destination. So I'm not trying to say that she was killed or anything. Who knows what the family details. I bet you they don't want anyone even looking into it. So yeah, rest in peace to her, and yeah, to anyone else that's lost loved ones involved in this September 11th or any of the other weird stuff that's occurred on these sacrifice lines. Mobile, Alabama. Alright, see you later, bye. Good luck. Have a good weekend or week. What day is it? I don't even know. Oh, today's Monday. Oh yeah, today's Family Day. So happy Family Day. See you later, everyone. Bye for now. Later. Yeah, thanks again everyone for tuning in. The great questions. Really appreciate it. And if anyone wants to be a guest and come on the show and share some of their own leyline information, just let me know. We'll get a hold of you and arrange it. See you later.